So the final experiment is over, but the dust is still swirling. Those of you who know, you know, but for you don't, um, let's talk about what it's about. The Flat Earth community have been looking for a model that they can present for how the Flat Earth can function in relation to our observed existence. Sunrise and sunset travel times, and so on. One of the most popular models is based on what is called the azimuthal equidistant projection map. It's difficult to project a sphere onto a flat surface, so there are many different methods devised to do that as accurately as possible. This particular method, also called the Gleason map at the moment, I think it's one of the most recent creators of it, but it's a very ancient map style, goes right back to like the ancient Egyptians one way or another, is popular for the Flat Earth team, this particular Gleason version, because it's relatively accurate for northern hemisphere distances. The further you get away from the North Pole, the worse it gets. And because it shows the Antarctic as a giant wall of ice that stretches all the way around. However, this map, as part of a complete model, has many different issues. As I said, it gets increasingly inaccurate as one gets further away from the center point. And for another issue, and the one that we're focusing on here, and what the final experiment focused on, is the sun. The movement of a sun is a major issue for the Flat Earth modelers. It moves from one side of the sky across to the other. It visibly sets over the horizon rather than disappearing into the distance, and it illuminates the planet in a way consistent with a big light on a hemisphere, rather than a big light on a flat plane. And things get really odd when one approaches the poles of the planet, which is where the final experiment actually comes in. If the light and dark cycle continues for the rest of the planet, then there is no possible way, if we're working on the AEP map, that one could get the sun for 24 hours in the Antarctic. However, for a model based on a spherical Earth, one that's slightly tilted, it works perfectly. So, the globe Earthers made claims in one direction, the Flat Earthers made claims in the other, and the experiment was devised to get a group of Flat Earthers and Globe Earthers down to Antarctica to observe the sun not setting for more than 24 hours at this time of year. This was done. As predicted, the sun did not set, and thus the experiment was, from the Globe Earth side, a complete success. So, is this the actual final experiment, as it's called, that completely ends Flat Earth? No, for the following reasons, as best as I understand them. Firstly, Flat Earth is a position of belief. It's not one of logic or science. There are strong religious ties, there are strong conspiracy theory ties. Many Flat Earthers come to this belief position because either it matches with their religious beliefs, or it's introduced to them through the conspiracy network that they're already buying into. So yeah, it's not a logical position. It's one that sounds good from their sort of perspective. A second problem is that the sort of public figures, the kind of leaders that you see on YouTube, are probably not believers, but they are grifters. They're selling this perspective on the planet. So their livelihood depends on maintaining this claim, and it's very much in their best interests to do whatever backflips they can to pretend that either this experiment never happened or it's not a problem for their model. The final experiment itself is actually addressing one particular element of the Flat Earth claim set, which is this model based on this particular map. So it's quite possible that the Flat Earthers, and they're trying to will come up with a different model that either just outright ignores this experiment or is built around it and has other issues, as they will inevitably come across when trying to build a flat Earth model around a spherical Earth's level of experiences. And the final reason is the flat Earth is just going to claim it was all faked. They're going to claim it was a studio like they do with the moon landings. They're going to claim there was green screens and all of that kind of stuff, as they've already started. Those of us who are poking around in this particular argument have seen that happening. Does that mean it was a good experiment? Yes, it was. It was a very good experiment. The first reason is that good science has been done. This is there were predictions, there were a number of different sources of observation and information. There was other sort of sub-experiments that were done with sort of recording and predicting shadow points as the sun traveled around. There was good recording of it. There were multiple cameras from different angles. It was very good science, and that is always valuable. It's generated a very, very powerful data point or set of data points, depending on how you observe it. And the data point is the next reason why it was a good experiment, is that when flat earthers make claims around this area, this can be presented as a major counter to those claims. While this isn't particularly useful, as I mentioned, to addressing the beliefs of believers, it is very, very useful, as is most of the fight that globers and flat earthers are having. It's very useful to form a data point that can be shown to those who are on the fence for one reason or another. This prevents, hopefully, more people falling into the flat earth trap. And it's a potentially damaging worldview that isn't consistent with observed reality. And if we can stop people stumbling into it, or at least make their stumbling into it a well-informed choice, then that is the success here. Not ending flat earth, but making more information about it known, and making the decision easier to understand. And I guess the third reason why it was a good experiment, it was just really interesting. These guys got to go to Antarctica, they set up cameras, they observed a natural phenomenon that's actually really cool. One that's also been seen in the North Pole at the other point of the year. It was fascinating to follow, to see the excitement and the observations, and to hear about the experiences of those who went and watched how their perspectives changed. So really good science, really good experiment, incredibly valuable and powerful, especially for those in this in these communities in this particular discussion. So well done, Will, and the others who got this going. You guys are amazing. Thank you very much. For flat earthers, they are going to have to either turn a blind eye to it, or develop a new model, or stop being a flat earther, because those are your options there. This is an incredibly valuable data point that was well constructed, well presented. The arguments against it have been weak to non-existent. It's hard to deal with from the flat earth perspective. So they have a lot of work in front of them now, and they do seem to already be scrambling to try and deal with it all. And the fallout from that is going to be very interesting to watch, as predicted, really. The other thing is that for globe earthers, we continue as we have been. As a lot of people said in the comments before this happened, when people were talking about it, the flat earthers are going to do whatever they can to deal with it and disregard it. And they are. That was a prediction that came true through experience and observations. And yeah, so the fight to, as I like to say, to stop people peeing in the fountain of truth continues. We're going to have to keep the good fight going, and yeah, defend the lines against further assaults, and to try and develop new experiments that can be added to more data points that can be presented to the world, to people who are thinking that the flat earthers might actually have something reasonable to say. So yeah, that's my quick overview of the flat earth, whether I think it's going to change the world or just be another useful tool in our toolbox. Hopefully that was clear. Please put your own thoughts in the comments if you are so inspired. If you want to hear me talking more about wise old man stuff and dealing with scams and mythologies, and I'm also going to be doing stuff with cheap cooking, because that's another passion of mine, another thing I think is important for the world. So yeah, if any of that interests you, just drop me a subscribe, help me keep this channel going, get the momentum going on it, and thank you for listening, and see you in the next video.